Rotating banded rows. So what we're doing here, this is a bit more mobility based, if you will, than strength based. We're not going to use a band that's like epically hard for us to row. And since you're a climber, you're probably pretty strong at rows already. So this should feel more good movement wise than it should feel like, oh, that's so hard. Just so when you're doing this, if you're like, it doesn't feel that like hard, that probably means you're doing it right. If it feels super hard, then you probably want to watch this again. So what's happening here is that we are rowing, but we're rowing from a stacked position, which is really important. The other thing that we're doing is we are getting reciprocal motion at our rib cage. That just means that your pelvis is staying still, okay? So we're not doing this right here. Your pelvis is staying still, and then one side of your rib cage is coming back, and then the other side's coming back, and one side's coming forward. And then that is going on repeat. But we're adding some resistance to it so that we get a little bit of a strength stimulus as well. What you want to think about as you're doing this exercise is we really want to make sure that in the beginning we're in that stacked position, okay? So you don't want to start here. Don't start like this. And you don't need to be here, okay? So neither one of those, my pelvis is not underneath my rib cage whatsoever. So you want to have it, if you can, look at yourself in a mirror or get your phone, set up your video. You don't have to like actually record yourself, but look at yourself. And what do you see? Like, do you see this? Do you see that? So make sure you can exhale, kind of let those ribs come down, deep core come up, and it looks like your pelvis is generally under your rib cage. Now from here, you're gonna row. As you row, that elbow needs to come down towards your waist. It's not coming up here. It needs to come down towards your waist, and your chest needs to stay open. I don't want to see your shoulder rolling forward. Elbow comes down, and at the same time, the other arm is really reaching, okay? So what we're not doing is just rowing like this. It's a row and a reach at the same time. The reach means that this shoulder blade is coming around your rib cage. What it does not mean is that you just lift your shoulder up. So you're not rowing and lifting, okay? You're rowing and reaching. Imagine someone was like pushing against your, kind of like your chest right here is like, help, help, help. And you're trying to reach to them, but you can't lean forward. So it's that same sort of idea where we want to be able to stand here and reach forward without leaning forward, okay? So it's a reach, not a lean. As you reach, you're rowing on the other side, and then you're gonna switch things up. And you may notice that one side, you're like, oh, it feels like really hard to reach on that side. Like my right side always feels harder to reach than my left side, and that's okay. So what we also want to remember is that add in your breath. Don't hold your breath. When you reach, you inhale. And I like to imagine literally my rib cage just kind of rotating on an axis. That axis is my spine, okay? And I'm doing this right here. And again, this should feel good, especially if you kind of hold that reach right here. Inhale, you should be able to feel some air kind of moving right in here and kind of stretching that area out. That's a good thing. You want that. All right, that is your rotating banded reach.